corporations, and investors with over 50 partners in 22 countries. Hoffman is also everybody to Money 911, where we talk about health, wealth, and peace of mind and how they all go together. So now I want to remind you that this audio is also video over on our YouTube channel, Legacy Shifters, so you can see us live there. And we have a lot of goodies and free gifts at your Legacy Shift. You can check that out on Next Chapter Checklist. But I want to get right into our special guest, Mr. Huff, Captain Huff, sir, right? And, there's a lot of questions, and I think the first one I just wanted to jump into is the critical question between scaling versus failing.
Yes,
right?
I can talk a lot about this. I've actually written an entire book on it called Surviving a Startup. And, I work with hundreds of entrepreneurs all around the world. So my company, Founder Space, is a startup incubator and accelerator. And we go deep with entrepreneurs on exactly these issues. A lot of them are just beginning the journey. They're launching their companies. Others are much more mature. They're growing and scaling their businesses. All of them know that, running and starting a business that grows rapidly is really, really tough. And when it comes to scaling and failing, there's really one fundamental rule that you need to do, or you won't even get off the starting block. And that is, at the beginning of your company, you need to figure out what it takes to succeed. And by that, I mean success. If you really want to scale a business, you really want to grow rapidly, you can't be doing what everybody else does. If you do what everybody else is doing out there, it's going to be slow growth. It's going to be tough. All you can compete on, and you're beginning, they're already established. They have their customers, their clients, whoever they have. You have to build that. So that's really, really tough. You have to take customers away from other players who have bigger track records and everything else. How do you break in as a startup and actually leapfrog it? Well, think about this. There are only two ways that startups experience rapid growth. Number one is that they do what all their other customers do, but they don't do it incrementally better. They don't do it just a little bit better. They do it exponentially better. And how do you do something like everybody in your business is doing it? How do you do it exponentially better? Well, you usually the way you do it is through technology, because technology is evolving every single day. It's out there. It's new technologies are being born literally like every day. They're new technologies. We just heard about ChatGPT and all of this. ChatGPT right now, if you started employing it for your business, there's potential of employing AI to actually leapfrog your competitors, to do things so much better than they do it, that customers are like, how did you do it? And you could do it in less time and save money because you're offloading a lot of the work to artificial intelligence. And that is just one example. The other way you succeed, if you aren't going to be exponentially better, an order of magnitude better, so get customers switch from what they're using to using you, then you have to do something unique. You have to do something that other competitors in the marketplace aren't doing. Again, these opportunities are cropping up every day because the world is changing. things, things are in constant state of flux because technologies are emerging, businesses are changing, markets are changing, situations like with COVID are changing all the time. People need new products and services to grow their business. And if you can figure out something new that can give them value, and by value, I mean, when this is the other way you have to scale your business. And you can't give somebody value that's a little bit of value, right? Oh, that would be nice to have. That would be helpful. As soon as you hear that from a customer, like that would be helpful, you're dead in the water. Like they never get back to you. They're like, oh, I'll do it later. Because most people, and me, myself included, we have top 5 priorities in our life, right? And if what you're coming to me or to any of your customers about doesn't map to their top 5 priorities, they will nod their head. They'll say, that's really cool. That's really great. Come back later. And they won't follow up with you. They,
Man, that's it. That's so true. And there's so much of I find that in the healthy money planning, so much of it is behavioral. I mean, I've
yes,
spent most of my time coaching people on their behavior around the money. They're scared of it, or they can't, they don't want to even think about it till they're about ready to transition. Or they don't even look at their 401k as the market is tanking, right?
yes.
So that's the same kind of thing. Now, would you say that, this kind of more goes into why would some startups break out and others break up?
Yeah. So there's there are a lot of reasons, but most startups, the vast majority, like over 60% of startups, break up, literally fail, because they don't find what we call a good product market fit, meaning they are offering a product that isn't that compelling. Like, and the customers do not, the, there's a, I have a golden rule. If a customer looks at your product and they say, oh, that's good, you've lost already.
Mm,
They have to say, that's good is not enough. They
right.
have to say, oh my God, I need that product today. How can I get that product? I've been waiting for that product. That product, can I sign up? Where can I go? If they're not on that level, you're going to fail. The other way, a lot of entrepreneurs fail out there, they don't find the right partners. Like, you can try doing it yourself, but you're never going to grow a big business as a solopreneur. Like, you're going to be more like a consultant or somebody like that and have a small business. You gotta, if you have ambition, if you want to scale your business, if you want to grow that big business, you need to spend as much time figuring out your customers and your product as you do recruiting the people you need to build the product, market the product, launch, your company, do everything you need to do. And I always tell entrepreneurs, don't go for B players, even B plus players.
Hmm.
If you want to be an A company, if you want to be the best, you got to have the best people. And
Right.
finding amazing people takes time. It's like, it has to be one, it has to be one of your very top priorities, that like every day you wake up, how am I going to bring on board like an absolutely amazing person that has skill sets I don't have, that we need to grow the business. And I'm not going to try to do it myself. I'm going to bring that person on.
That's good. That's really good. There's specific innovation strategies and that I'm sure you've encountered, but a lot of people, because of the marketing is changing so fast. So let's say you have a product, right? A product like, a lot of people have coaching products. They're speakers and they've taken their book and they've made programs around it. So nowadays, doing a webinar, the launch or a challenge is sort of boring, old. Everybody does that. What unique way would you share with the folks that are listening, whether they're, C corps or small businesses that have products that they're launching? How would you
Okay.
position that?
I wrote a whole nother book on this
Oh,
called
imagine that.
it's called Make Elephants Fly.
Oh,
It is all about the process of radical innovation. So this isn't incremental innovation. We can all incremental innovation. Everybody does, right? You make your podcast a little better, make your, coaching class better, make your
right,
product a little better.
right.
Anybody can do that. How do you come up with ideas that just aren't on the radar that completely change the game? So
Exactly.
that's what you really need to do if you're going to get in there. What really successful entrepreneurs do is they don't have that light bulb moment. Like most of us don't have that moment where we're like, oh my God, there's the biggest idea in the world. If we
Right.
do have that moment, we're almost always wrong. We almost always figure
Mhm.
out somebody's already doing it or it doesn't work. What where you really, really discover those gems of innovation that take your business to a whole new level are when you're doing two things simultaneously. One, you are engaging with your customer deeply. So you are figuring out what headaches do your customers have? What problems are they really frustrated about, or are they spending lots of time on that they don't necessarily want to do, but they don't know how to change because they can't see the way. Your job is to get them to tell you where they are spending lots of time and resources. And then you need to couple that with the second part, which is new technology. Like, could I take this new technology, OpenAI's, AI platform, right? And could I apply that to this problem that my customers are having? All of a sudden, if you can make that connection, boom, that is the light bulb moment. And you didn't come up with yourself. Your customers actually told you, they're spending countless hours doing this. And then you saw, oh, I could take this and I could actually save them all that time, or I could make them more money, and I can do it in a way that nobody else is doing. That's where the ideas come. They don't come from these big moments. These, like, people like to imagine, when you're an entrepreneur, you have that
Right.
flash of inspiration.
Yeah, right.
They come from spending lots of time listening to your customers and going deep on their business. That's where the breakthroughs come.
That's great. So, when you do a deep dive on all the pain points of your clients, and so so your marketing strategy isn't a one size fits all. Everything you're saying is over the top, fabulous. This is not just good, it's great, right? Kind of thing. But and so how do they come to their clients? Do they is our webinar still ways to connect with people? Somebody has a book they're launching.
You could do all of the webinars and everything else. It doesn't hurt,
Uh-huh.
but it's not going to propel your business to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, if you even look at, like, if you're launching a book and you launch a book, like, there's just thousands of those books out there,
Yeah.
it's not going to go anywhere, right?
Right.
I mean, it's just going to get buried with thousands of books. You need to figure out in your head, what's a book I can write that people are like, they need this information. They're intrigued by this idea or this concept that isn't out there, that people aren't getting. Like, you have to do that fundamental research in advance, just like you would innovate on a product or a service for your clients. You should be innovating on everything you do. Writing a book. How do you do webinars? How do you do webinars in a different way? How do you do webinars where people, let's say, could you guarantee that if people do a webinar, they will make X dollars, or they get their money back within a month? Can you do
Mhm.
that? Like, if you could literally figure out a way to do that, you'd have a lot more people signing up because they have nothing to lose. If
Right.
literally what you teach them is going to pay for the webinar within a month, then they're going to do it, right? And so, just figuring out those things, and spending a lot of time thinking about how you do stuff, and not just diving in and doing what everybody is doing, is the real key to innovation.
That's great. Well, you got that right, Dr. Hoff. And you've talked a lot about you probably wrote a book about that too, on to accelerate, right?
Yes.
And really over the top. How would you come to that?
So, yeah, what I do at Founder Space, that's my company. It's a global startup accelerator. Is we bring in entrepreneurs who, first of all, what we look at is the team. Like, do they have an amazing team? Have they assembled, like, just the best of breed? Like, these people are amazing in what they do, marketing, engineering, technical, sales, and they brought this team together. Then what we do is we figure out whether they are on the right track. And I'll tell you, most entrepreneurs, even who have something kind of going at the beginning
Yeah.
stage, they have it. Usually they have a lot of the pieces figured out, but they're always missing a
Yeah.
thing or two. They
Yeah.
always can't see. So what acceleration is, startup acceleration, is literally really good acceleration. We can give you money. We can connect you with venture capital, help you, tell you how to pitch investors, what they want to see, why would they invest in you, what is their goals. Big part of acceleration. Investors, like literally, a lot of people don't understand this. If you go to most investors, and what they want to see is not just that your business will be steadily growing. And even if you're like able to guarantee 100% that we're going to have linear growth, most investors aren't interested. They aren't interested. You know why?
No.
Because you think, oh, if I have a nice linear growth and I can almost guarantee this for you, why wouldn't you invest? Well, because all investors care about is the minute they give you the money, they want the money back. But they don't want the money back that you gave them. They want 10x or 20x. They want, because they know that if you have a steadily growing business that's just growing along for years and years and years, how do they get their money back? Like, how are you going to give them your money back? So, is somebody going to buy you? Usually, businesses that got bought aren't growing linearly. They are exploding. Usually, businesses that go public aren't growing linearly. They are exploding growth. That's why they're picked to go public. The only other way to get their money back is that you give them a share of the revenue you're earning. And then you have to be a really cash rich business, right? That they have faith is like just pouring, off lots of cash, throwing off lots of cash, and will make it worth the risk. Like, it's super risky investing in a startup. So if you're just, in most cases, they'd be like, I'd actually, if I'm going to take this huge risk anyway, I don't want to take it with a linear growth money that's going to take a linear growth company that's going to take years and years to pay me back. I want it with an exponential growth company that if I get paid back, it's not going to be a linear amount. It's going to be a huge payoff because I know a bunch of my other investments aren't going to work. So this is what we do at accelerators, is we help businesses figure out how to move into that sweet spot so that they can raise the capital, so that they can communicate to their investors and develop a business plan and put all the pieces in place for the type of business that other people will want to put money into.
So do you actually, a founder space, right? Do you guys actually walk through people, say, to show them how to access venture capital or, make all of that
Absolutely.
work? What do
We
you do?
introduce
What's
them.
your process there for folks?
Oh, so it's an intensive process. So
Okay.
we sit down with entrepreneurs and we go over every element of their business, from their launch plan and marketing plan, customer acquisition strategy, what type of value they're offering to their customer, and now a deep analysis of their business model, everything they do. We do all of that. And then we start pointing out, and a lot of entrepreneurs make mistakes. So one of the big mistakes is a lot of entrepreneurs, they're trying to do too many things at once at the beginning. And they aren't focusing really on the one or two things that are going to really move the needle, that are going to make a transformative business difference in the business. So they may be spending lots of time on their logos and lots of time on, podcasts and other things. Those things, they'll add a little to their business, but they're not going to fundamentally change their business. What they need to, we're zooming in on, like, what is that one? Usually what we're zooming in on is what I call value creation. Value creation. And value creation is what unique value are you creating, not for yourself, for your customers? And how do you create this value? What are you doing to give that value to your customers? And then later, if they get that right, then we can figure out how do you communicate, how do you market that? How do you target and acquire those? All the other pieces are pretty simple because they, there's, once you figure out what that I like to say, being an entrepreneur is this is what being an entrepreneur is. It's like being an oil wildcatter. You are literally out there hunting for demand. Nobody creates demand. You don't create demand for your product, right? The demand already exists in the real world, and you go out there and start drilling wells, trying to figure out where there's all this pent-up demand. And when you find it, boom, a gusher, that's where you put all your energy. Nothing else matters, right? Just where the demand is for that thing you figured out.
That's good. So you are on every level. You're on the startup. You're on, people that are already going. But it isn't just. I mean, everything I hear is just over the top. Better than good kind of an
Thank you.
approach here. And you've got you've got how many books? You've got Make Elephants Fly, Surviving a Startup, right?
Yeah,
Those.
and the five forces that change everything. And so my
Mm,
first book, Make Elephants Fly, all about innovation. Surviving a startup, just what the title says. How do you survive and scale your business? And then the five forces that change everything is about the newest technologies that are emerging right now out into the real world that are poised to just totally upend what we're doing. Huge section in there about artificial intelligence, which we're seeing right now. Like, how is artificial intelligence poised to literally remake everybody's job and every business on the planet? How, you know, and how is gene editing another big one, right? How is gene editing poised to change literally everything from our whole healthcare system to how we grow food, to how we raise livestock, to everything that involves a living organism on this planet will be changed. So these
that's a
big
little
ideas,
scary.
these are all totally scary
Hmm.
and really fascinating and something that people need to understand.
So as you apply that AI to like a growing business and just because it's so like, oh, what's that? For most people that aren't in that zone, how could you, boil that down into something really simple that, like where do I use AI? I know I use it right now or something in content or,
Yeah,
people are at the certain
you can
level.
now use it to write blogs. You can now use it to write social media posts. There are a whole bunch of things, but literally AI is going to change every one of our jobs. Like,
Mm,
think about it. If we can be smarter and faster, more efficient at doing what we do, why wouldn't we?
mm,
And literally jobs just a few years ago that people would say, oh, AI can't displace those jobs. That's something only people can do, like creating amazing pictures, amazing
right.
images, creating amazing videos, creating stories, all these, creating music. We thought, oh, only humans could do that. We're suddenly figuring out, no, 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 no. AI can be extremely creative, but there's one thing that's more creative than AI alone, and that's humans interacting with AI. So you take humans out of the loop, it's not going to be nearly as effective. What we're seeing, it's called human computer symbiosis. The future right now that we are on a cusp of is, how do we work with AI to create so much more value and products and services and healthcare and everything else in the world so much better, so much faster. That is the trajectory we're on. And if literally you aren't innovating, you aren't accessing these technologies, figuring them out, trying to figure out how they apply to your business, you're going to be left behind, because I guarantee you there are others that are, and they're going to they're taking those technologies, they're going to be reinventing these professions and
Yeah.
businesses, doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, it's moving fast. So is that what you talk about in the five forces?
Yes.
And
So
the
I
and
talk,
what are the five? What do you mean by
okay,
the
you want to
five?
know all five.
Yeah, I
So of
do.
course there's, as we talked about, gene editing. There's what I call exploration, expansionism, human expansionism, which includes space exploration into outer space,
Okay.
and nanotechnology, going down into molecular level and figuring out how we reinvent, use at the molecular level, build little robots and new materials that will completely revolutionize the world. There's also brain computer interfaces combined with virtual reality. So we are on the cusp right now of hooking our brains up to the internet. And at the same time, we are able to create these virtual experiences. So what we will actually see is, in the future, you won't be communicating on your phone. That'll seem like an archaic device. You will actually be communicating through your thoughts with other people directly on a brain net, which they've actually built these brain nets on a very small scale in laboratories, and they work. They have monkeys solving problems together with chips in their brains. They have human beings who are completely paralyzed with chips in their brains, literally sending messages over the internet, controlling robots, accessing iPads. all of this is possible. All of this is going to hit the mass market. And then the last chapter is all about what happens when we hit superintelligence. What happens when we have machines that are actually smarter than human beings?
Yeah, that's a little
Where,
scary to me.
yeah, and what does it mean for the world, our jobs,
Yeah,
society?
changes
Where are
everything.
Yeah? So
Yeah.
the five forces goes in all those directions.
Okay. So which force would you, like some of it I could, honestly, I'm not really interested in a chip at this point in my brain. But, some people like that. But what I'm interested is how can, at this level where we're at right now, folks use that AI
Oh yeah, and the
for,
other technology. So
and the other technologies for their business.
yeah, so
It's
on a very
reachable.
practical level today, I mean, we're seeing it
Yeah.
right now. So I encourage everybody out there to get on GPT, which is released by OpenAI. Google's coming out with one very soon. They already have built it. They just didn't release it yet. Now they have to scramble to
Right.
catch up. And you're going to see probably Facebook coming out with one soon because they don't want to be left. Nobody wants to be left in the
Right.
dust. But
Mhm.
these artificial intelligence platforms are going to be very consumer friendly, very easy for people to interact with and use. And literally, they'll just help you to do things better. So I will go on Google and I'll search for something now. So I might search for a medical thing that I want to know about. We all have medical issues we want to know about. But then I'll also go to Chat GTP and see what it says, because it says it in a different way. Like Google, I have to go through different websites and actually
Right.
click on the site and see.
Oh,
And
okay.
and that's kind of a laborious process. We've all been through it.
Mhm.
We're on our 20th site trying to get the answer to a question,
Right.
right? We have a
Right.
specific question, but yet we have to go through 20 sites to try to figure out who answers that question. Then you go to Chat GTP, you can literally type in the question, and what it's done is it's absorbed all the information on the internet with a
Huh.
deep learning algorithm, and it will spit out the exact answer to your question as if it were a living being. Like
Wow.
it's an algorithm, it's not a person,
Okay.
but it will literally
Yeah.
talk to you as if it were a person. That you can do today. You can go on another
Okay.
you can go on another uh, uh, platform called there's one called DALL-E, DALL-E, and you can literally type in text, I want an image of a unicorn, and up will pop an image of a unicorn. No, I want that unicorn to have wings. The
Mm.
next image, the unicorn has wings. I want that unicorn to have
Interesting.
wings, and I want it to be standing on the Empire State Building. Boom, there's your, like, pretty amazing.
Yeah,
Not hard for anybody to use.
for sure. Well, now tell everybody how they can get in contact with you, right? The
So
best way.
yeah, super, super easy to reach. If you want to reach me, go to founderspace.com. Founderspace.com. That is our main site. You can just contact me right off the site. We respond to all emails. I do. And there are tons of videos, materials, my books, everything's there. I'm also on all the social networks, like search for Captain Hoff, the
Right.
easiest way to find me. Captain Hoff, on LinkedIn or anywhere else, and you can get a hold of me.
Super. And they can go there and get your book too.
Oh yeah, my book's it's published by major publishers, so they're everywhere.
That's great. Captain Hoff, you've been a joy to be with and really very interesting because you are on the top of the wave and the cutting edge of
Thank
this
you.
whole, and you have it from the foundation because the beginning of what you talked about is essential for any business, no matter what level they are.
Yes.
So maybe leave us with a parting thought that you'd like everybody to think about today.
So I would like you to do one thing and go into your business, and I want you to challenge everything you believe. So everything you think is true about your field, I want you to say, is that really true today with these new technologies? Or could I change that? And that just may spark a
Yeah.
rabbit hole that you can go down, or you'll discover a whole new world.
Right. That's cool. That's a great idea. You even got my interest on that one. You may get a bunch of phone calls here for sure.
Yes.
Well,
And if
well,
you have a
thank
great
you.
idea, come to Founder Space and
Will
pitch it.
do. Will do. Captain Hoff, it's been a pleasure and thank you for joining us today on Money 911.
Thank you.
There's so much to learn about healthy money. I hope today's discussion brings you one step closer to securing and protecting your future. So you can get started on the right foot, go to meetwithkrismiller.com and schedule your free financial fitness strategy session. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to Money 911 so you don't miss our next episode, which includes health, wealth, and peace of mind. The power of purpose. Doing well by doing good. The power of purpose. Doing well by doing good. The power to bless lives inside of all of us. The power of love.